Hello, hi Faozan. How are you? Thank you so much for taking time out to chat with us. As you well know, we are recording this conversation for sharing at Field Experiments, a special section dedicated to experimental films as part of our Painting with Light Film Festival. We'd like to start by introducing you to the audience. Faozan Rizal is an Indonesian cinematographer and film director. He studied classical Javanese and Balinese dance, pursued an education in painting, studied cinematography at the Jakarta Art Institute, and then attended the film school La Femis in Paris. Fauzan Rizal's works have been featured in various international film festivals, such as the Indonesian Film Festival, the Singapore International Film Festival, the Cine Manila International Film Festival, and the Emirates Film Competition. Fauzan, perhaps we could start with you telling us how you are and where you're speaking to us from.
Okay, I'm fine, I guess. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And I'm speaking from Jakarta because this is my last day in production. So I back to Jakarta to just meeting my friend and thinking to continue another abracadabra story.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
Yeah.
Excellent. And before we take it away, I'd also just like to introduce my colleague and co-curator, Clarissa Chikiamco, who has worked on the field experiments program. And Clarissa, please take it away. Thanks.
yeah. So, Fauzan, I'd like to start by asking you if you could like trace your early interest in film. Like, why did you take up film when we understand like you're really interested, to take up painting and be a painter? Like, to you, what is the relationship between film and the visual arts?
Okay, because the first time I coming into the artwork is as a dancer. So as a moving, I'm moving with my
Hmm.
body and dancing the Japanese dance since I was in the first grade until the high school. I still dancer, like it's all the Japanese dance.
Oh,
And then my interest became more how to uh, freeze the dancing, but you still feel the beautiful, yeah. So this is only painting can do that. Eh? So I began
right.
learn painting to painting a movement actually. It's not really
Oh,
painting as a realism, something like that. Even of course we learn realism. I learned it in my teacher in Bali, realism. But then I see something that the movement into the light, something like that, is really become something interests me a lot into this thing. And then but I like everybody in Indonesia, when we tell our mother that we want to continue to film school or at that time it's art school, of course they didn't want. So I make a trick. I think her like I want to continue to TV production. So because TV production is like a visual, right? I mean, we work in
hmm.
the office in the TV station. So my mother let me in, and I come to Jakarta International Film School in IKJ. And but when I enter IKJ, I found something interesting more because there is a man called Kotot Praposa. He's
Mm-hmm.
painter and animator, and he do this painting into celluloid. And I said,
Right.
okay, that's more fun. This is the really I need it. This is really that movement. This is really capturing the movement, something like that. So I became with him, learn about animation experimental in animation, something like that. That was the story.
Oh no, that's that's a very like interesting like trajectory because like you went from dancing and then into painting and then finally like film which sort of like culminated like a lot of your interests.
Yeah. I became with the movement, and then I became more and more into the light, and then into the color, right? And then this two color and light is really you can capture when you are a cinematographer.
Right, right.
Then I said, okay, I learned the cinematographer just to want to complete my interest, right? My like I'm thirsty on how moving and this light and color happen in the frame, something like that.
Right, right. And I wanted to ask more about your film, Yasujiro's Journey, like about the content, the subject of it. Like, I mean, it feels more than just a story of like identity and soul searching, but also like the shadow of actually the Japanese occupation in Southeast Asia. So like, how did you like determine like the subject of this film and even the subject of the other films that you directed? Like, what interests you?
Mhm. Actually, what interests me at the time is because I love a poem so much. I love haiku, the Japanese poem. Like with the syllable is unbelievable for me. Like I think the very very famous is from Baso, right? Like the silent pool, and then the frog leap, and then the pool became silent again, right? And then
Yes.
became my interest into them that even a poem have a movement. Even a poem is move you, is move your imagination into movement and something that tranquil or something like that. Right? And then I became more and more digging this Japanese culture, and I combine with Japanese. The Japanese is a time is very flexible. Time is never stop in Japanese, right? But Japan is very stuck, something like that. Right? It's very precise and on time. So this I combine into I digging, and then at that time I found many of Yugun Yanfu, the victim of Japanese here. I researching on that, and then I researched that when they fly to Pearl Harbor from Japan, actually, some is didn't want to let's say harakiri, right? Some is try to back to Japan, and many falling in Indonesia because the fuel is not enough, right? And I became moved into this story. The story is really make me like how if you from a family you have to kill yourself, but then you think about your brother, your sister, and then you come back again, but it is not the way. You cannot come back, you will lost anyway. So this feeling I want to capture in Yasuchiro journey, but I want to do it like a poem. I want to do it really like a haiku, like in the tranquility, you feel the struggle, something like that.
Yeah, I really think it does come through. It's a very poetic film. And I guess that, I mean, jumping on to like my next question is that, I remember you saying that the negative of this film, was actually destroyed during the Jakarta flood. And you're only left with the positive and the DVD copy. So I was wondering, like, if you have any plans to restore the film, or are your films in like any archives or collections, just so that we can, preserve this kind of like poetic film, for future audiences to enjoy in like the best quality possible.
Okay, the positive I still have. I asked my friend yesterday, the one in studio, and it's because you talked me about it. So I said, okay, so let's dig it again. Where is this Yasuchiro Journey? It's still there. But yeah, the thing is like when at that time I always went into so many festivals, right, with the copy of this, and then I left Jakarta, and I didn't know that Jakarta is a flood at that time. I think I'm in Paris when they call me that the Jakarta Institute of Art is flooded, and then all of our what you call it cupboard, all the hall is full of water. So when I said, did I put my negative there? I kind of like is it my negative and all film there, because my locker was down, right? My locker is in the first floor. So if I saw the picture with my friend, it has water here, so like I think I think I'm in trouble with all my film. But let's see. And then after a month after all this festival thing, I come back to Jakarta, and my friend has like there is nothing left. You can open the locker now, and I open it. Everything is in water. And it's very sticky, right? Because it's water, and it's been like a week. The Jakarta flooded a week, and then there is nothing you cannot do because we are living not near from our campus also, so nobody can save. Even so many camera broke at that time. So my concentration at that time is to save my camera, the pole camera, the one that I shoot with. I didn't think anymore with the Yasuchiro, because I think that, okay, then this is all my experimentation, like all the short film.
Yeah.
It's all like sticky. So then 1 year after that, one of studio asked me like, do you want to bring your positive? Huh? Do you still have positive? Yeah, we edit the positive, right? And still in us. Okay, good, then that is the last. That's what we got. But after that, okay, we treat this as a memory, right? Like a film is like a memory for us. Like just a journey is like, it's really into it now. It's really become a memory itself, right? Our memory try to capturing what happened, Peter's story of this Pearl Harbor thing, and what happened in this nation in correlation with the Japanese colonization. So yeah.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I apologize. It's such a short conversation. It's just to give, like, I guess the audience just like a taster, you know, on like more on the context of this film. But we hope to continue, you know, our conversation with you, like through a future film project or at a colloquium that we're organizing next year.
Yeah, thank you so much, Faozan, for sharing your insights with us. And thank you also, Clarissa. Thanks again that we're able to show your film at the film festival. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, Kun Pimpaka. How are you? Thanks so much for taking the time out to chat with us. You know, as you know, we are recording this conversation for sharing at Field Experiments, a special section dedicated to experimental films as part of our Painting with Light Film Festival. You'll have to excuse like my mask. I'm just staying safe while I'm also recording this like outside of home. So we just like to start by introducing you to the audience. Pimpaka Towira is a pioneer among female film directors in the Thai independent film scene since the early 1990s. She received international acclaim for her first feature, One Night Husband, which premiered at the Berlin International Film Festival. Her second feature, The Island Funeral, won Best Asian Feature Film Award at the Tokyo International Film Festival in 2015. In 2007, she founded Extra Virgin to focus on nurturing new talents. And in 2019, Pimpaka has created the short filmmaking project Deep South Young Filmmaker, set up to encourage and train youth aged between 15 to 25 in the three southernmost provinces of Patani, Yala, and Narathiwat. She has been program director for the Bangkok Asian Film Festival since 2015. And from 2017 to 2018, she was the program director for the Singapore International Film Festival. For her overall contributions to Thai cinema, she was honored with the National Supathorn Award in 2009 by the Ministry of Culture of Thailand. So joining us as well for the conversation is my co-curator, Cheng Jayun, who will be starting it off with some questions for you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Clarissa, and thanks so much, Kun Pimpaka, for joining us today. So it's just a short series of questions to better illuminate the film to our audiences. And the first question I have is, how and why did you set out to make this film, Mena?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to mention that the film actually was part of the experimental film workshop organized by the Goethe Institute in 1992, which actually they organized two workshops altogether. Yep. So firstly, I was one of participants from the first workshop in the late 80s. And then for second workshop, maybe Christoph Yanesco, who actually conduct the workshop. He select like a three group of first participants to be part of the second workshop. So I have been selected to make one a bit longer film. So and when we discussing about how what is the story that what kind of story that we would like to make, as because I'm feeling like because I actually a filmmaker by myself, and this is a kind of my third film. So when I studied film in the university, I start exploring the story as from about the female perspective. So this is a kind of challenging to myself, because when we have when we looking for the story, uh, my team came up with so many ideas, and we thought that why would we make a film, the story about which actually dealing with the Thai society and also representing female character. So we came up with the like exploring the story of Nana Pakano, which actually the very popular ghost story in Thailand. This story like people know by heart, because it's like the story have been made for several times in many kind of versions. And we thought that if we can make this story in a female perspective, that would be interesting in terms of the way that we can, like exploring ourselves as a filmmaker. So we decided to do some research. So we read we read the article about the story of Mena Pakano, and at the same time, we also try to explore the genre, because this is the film that dealing with the genre film. It's a horror film. People knew that if you heard about this story, you're supposed to see the horror film. So we exploring in both the storytelling and also at the same time with the the form, the how we can find the structure of the film. So and we came up with the short film called Manna, and we sent the script. Actually, I did a kind of draft of it, and we sent it to Christoph Yanesco, because we need to submit all the paperwork before we start participate in the workshop. And then I think during that time we didn't feel, because what back then is something that short filmmaking is a bit quite, we don't have a kind of scene there, and we didn't have the idea, how we can, like working with other people, except, if we part of the workshop, we just thinking how we can make the film under the context of experimental filmmaking. So it's a kind of, something that quite special at that time.
Yeah.
And then after we got the script, and we have a discuss with Christoph Yanesco, and we start preparing for the shooting, and then we shoot the film later on, because we shot in 16, which actually we have to finish the post-production in Philippines, because during that time we didn't have the laboratory where they can do the print. So we have to send out the negative to do the processing and printing in Philippines, and then after that we got the print to do editing. So it's a bit of quite long process. From the
long drawn out.
I think it's more than 2 years.
I see. And thank you. And I think what was also interesting when we talked about this film, and what you mentioned about it being very much based upon this local folklore, is that it had its what exactly was surprising about its reception upon its first screening to Thai audiences in 1997, 1998.
You know what, in most of most of our versions, even the recent one, in the story, you need to have one scene, which actually is very significant scene. It's the scene that when Nang Na, the story is very simple, right? Nang Na is like a woman who he died during giving birth, and then she become a very scary ghost, right? And then she waiting for her husband.
Yes.
And when her husband, came back, and he doesn't know that his wife already, become a ghost. So this is a scene where the husband realized that his wife is a ghost. This is, you know, when we see Nang Na,
Yeah.
she cooking dinner, you
Yes.
know, and then she dropped a lamb, you know, on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
And then in order to get a lamb, you know, she stretched her arm
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, and grab the lamb, you know, on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of, you know, it's like you can see like her arm become more and more, you know, long, and then
I see.
lamb on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas people, you know, it is a very scene memory, you know, for all of the version.
Okay.
And this is my version, didn't put this scene.
Okay.
Which actually I intended, because I thought that I don't want to. I want to do a deconstruction, you know, the way people, you know, perceive manna, you know. So that's why I didn't
Include this scene.
not to put that scene. And this is one thing that we got the very serious feedback, because when after we screened the film in the very big theater, it's a very old theater in downtown area, and like I think I remember it's about like 100 people, you know, audience watching film. And actually we show 3 short film from the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And after the film, you know, finished, and we have a Q&A, right? We have a post Q&A, and then the moderator asking the audience, you know, like and giving the microphone, and like it's like, you know, a lot of people, you know, I think I can remember like maybe 10, you know, like audience among the among people, they, you know, like need to say something about my film. And I remember some of them, you know, very got angry, especially, you know, people said, oh, they're expecting to see that scene.
Yeah.
The scene that, you know, is a significant, you know, scene. Why didn't you put that scene in your version? And also the other question is like, you know, why didn't do a kind of really slow pacing film? You know, why didn't do the fast pacing, like, you know, former version? So I feeling like, you know, I feeling a bit, because during that time I didn't expect this kind of feedback, you know. Even though I thought that my film is a bit quite difficult to access comparing to the other two. I knew that, because I knew that, but I didn't expect to get like a really passionate, you know, response, you know. So I think this is something that it's a kind of challenge, you know. I challenge like Thai society, who actually, you know, like found stories belong to them, you know, because they perceive this story, you know, like from generations for a long time, even though they didn't know this story or Mena is real or not, but they feeling like I challenge, you know, like
Their version of the story.
yeah, right. So the story. So after the response like that, you know, I'm feeling like I would not like to. I didn't want to become a filmmaker anymore. I feeling like, you know, I did something bad. I did something really. Maybe I did something wrong. I don't know, something that came up in my mind, that what happened, why I got, you know, a quite a negative feedback.
I mean, thank you so much for sharing. And I think that really helps to suggest that how the film really was about a different and unfamiliar and actually also uncomfortable perspective for audiences at the time. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this post-screening dialogue. But we're sure to continue this conversation and also make this available for those who want to know more from Kun Pimpaka about the film. Yeah, Clarissa?
Thanks so much, Pimpaka. Thank you for sharing your film with us at the festival.
Thank you so much.